Good morning, everyone. Can everybody hear me? Mic check. Yes, looking good. Looking good. Hello, hello, hello. How is everybody? We're gonna give them a second here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Got
Sorry,
about
I'm eating a
minute 30.
I'm eating a little bar this morning. It's keto friendly. 2 grams of carbs. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Are you sponsored by them?
I'm not, but I should be. 1 gram of sugar, 2 grams of carbs, and if you like those little breakfast bars, this is pretty good. Almond butter and chocolate chip. Anyway,
I find it hard to do breakfast, but yeah, I hear you.
Yeah.
I feel I always have to have something in my stomach, otherwise just get that kind of sicky feeling. You don't have something in your stomach
I just do black coffee until 11.
until you just can't have jitters anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That gets the jitters from all the coffee or from the fast.
Or not sure if it's jitters from coffee or withdrawal from wine. I'm not sure. I'm not sure what that is. How was your weekend?
Good.
Excellent.
Yeah, nothing too exciting.
Wonderful.
Yeah. At least excitement, the better.
We took our Christmas lights down
Okay.
on the outside of the house, so put all that stuff away. Christmas is definitely over now.
Yeah.
I'm in my
For
house.
us.
Yeah,
For
no,
us.
I need to take down mine.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Everything's still inside.
Yeah.
Are you still up?
Everything.
Wow.
I just, my family just left this morning. I just dropped them off at the airport. I know.
Well, let's talk live on the radio, shall we?
Yep.
Here we go.
Big news. I have some important news for you.
Interesting news.
It's Blake and Aaron's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Good morning, Sandy.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Hi, Blake and Aaron.
Hope you had a great weekend.
Yes, indeed.
Excellent. What happened over the weekend? Anything crazy?
Yes, there's always interesting things going on in the world. I guess most people around the world heard about that really crazy cliff slide or collapse in Brazil.
I saw that video.
Oh my god!
They had it on the Sunday morning shows.
Yes.
Did you see that, Aaron?
No, I saw it on like Reddit kind of stuff, but
Yes.
It was like a rock slide, like where there was a bunch of boaters, and then this whole it was almost like an iceberg. You see like a piece peel off and fall into the water. That's what it was like.
I mean,
Of just rock, though.
it's
So
just to think about that is crazy.
yeah.
And they were all like tourists, right? Some people didn't make
Right.
it, unfortunately.
So the authorities have indicated that this is a very Lake Furnace is a very high tourist traffic area. Some weekends they can get 5,000 plus visitors. And this is actually a man-made lake, believe it or not. And so heavy rains in the area really compromise the cliffs. And unfortunately, that was the end result. So quite shocking, yeah.
Yeah.
So in other news, more on the local front, we have the DCFS who've indicated that some of their both employees and residents, this is a residential facility for people with special needs, have now been placed in isolation. So they've activated their COVID isolation plan because some of them are positive now. So we're wishing them well. Deltacron. This is beginning to sound like an alternative universe.
Deltacron?
Oh no.
Deltacron, but Delta
Thor?
and
Thor and Deltacron.
you cannot make this stuff up. So basically, Omicron and the Delta variants of COVID-19 apparently have merged. And the name is Deltacron.
I had not heard that.
I feel like it's a celebrity name. But some
Never-
scientists made the discovery.
Benifer? Like Benifer? Is that what you're saying?
I know, that's what I was thinking of when I heard the name.
I've heard of Flurona.
Flu-rona
That's the flu and corona.
at the same time.
Yeah, at the same. They don't mix though. They're actually two separate infections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is actually a mixture. So scientists in Cyprus have discovered some 25 cases so far of a strain that basically combines element of both the Delta and Omicron variants. And so they've dubbed it the Deltacron. So far they've got 11 samples from patients who were hospitalized and 14 from the general public. So they're keeping an eye on this. They don't necessarily think it's going to be a major deal, but they said that it has the Omicron-like genetic signatures with the Delta genomes. So, yeah.
I'm not even going to act like I can translate that.
Yeah.
I know. It's like,
I'll let the scientists just say, well, you're going to need to do this,
Listen,
and then I'll do that.
this virus wants to spread and stay alive.
It doesn't want to
So
kill the host.
It's going to mutate until it is like the flu, and which I think Omicron is probably much like that at this point.
yes.
Do we know anybody? Like, do we know the tallies, hospitalizations, stuff like that?
Yeah, it's just the ones that we just mentioned. So it's 25 people, 11, I believe, in the hospital. And yeah.
So how many people are actually in the hospital for coronavirus?
Yeah. Sorry, say that once more.
How many people are actually admitted
Yeah.
for COVID, not that they're in the hospital for something else and they have COVID?
In the Cayman Islands, or
Yes, in the Cayman Islands.
yeah, we only have like 4 or 6 people right now. The numbers are actually low for hospitalizations, which is a good thing for us anyway. So yeah.
And do we know like when the next press conference is, when phase 5 is happening, when all this day 2, day 5, day 10 testing is going to just be dropped?
Yeah, because I mean it's packed yesterday, Sunday. Not every not every testing facility is open. So yesterday, Doctors Express was
Listen, all the testing
packed.
facilities are
Super spreader events.
Super spreader events. They just need to.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
what we've been told is that the government is still mulling it over. So I think they're having some internal discussions on how we'll work, but nothing set as yet in terms of an actual update or press conference.
Well, and I think a good question would be what is all these regulations on vaccinated, individuals and boosted individuals? Why sometimes some hoops need to be kind of pulled away from certain people that are doing their duty.
You mean
make sense?
For the unvaccinated?
Yes. So for vaccinated individuals, the LFT testing that many days was kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally get that for unvaccinated people. And that's it. Your life is harder now moving forward in this world if you're unvaccinated.
Yeah. I mean, Omicron has been a little bit of a game changer in terms of infections, because it seems like Omicron doesn't really care about your vaccination status when it comes to infections. Now, obviously, the more serious side of things, it still does make a humongous difference.
That's the difference.
Yes,
and that's the thing.
for
It's
sure. And that's what's critical, right?
That's what we need to start focusing on is, okay, well, what it is. One day we will all get Omicron or COVID.
At some point, probably. What's the headline, revoking of PR? What's that about?
Yeah, so 41 individuals have had their permanent residency revoked. The announcement was made on Friday afternoon.
Why is that?
For non-payment.
Non-payment.
Non-payment?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't actually
you've got an obligation.
What?
Yeah, a lot of people get away with
it. Your PR fee. It's an annual fee.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it depends on what category of PR you have. The fees vary.
How dumb is that? You've done all this work to get PR, and then you won't.
Yeah, I mean, the government, this has been an issue for many, many years. There've been a lot of money. I forget what the tally was, but there's a lot of money that has been outstanding for the non-payment of permanent residency fees. So after issuing 53 warning letters, and these are dating back to 2014, this government has said enough is enough. And they have actually revoked 41 of them. So
now, is that revoking until they pay, or is that just they start from scratch? What are the consequences?
I think once it's revoked, you got to start over.
Wow.
So if you're still here, I wonder if some of those people have left maybe and just haven't paid it because they're not even here. I mean, I don't really know all the details.
Yeah.
But I think that might be the case in some instances. But in any event, if you find yourself in that situation, you'll want to make sure that you regularize your immigration status, whatever that is. So some people might have to look at a work permit, or, if it was PR because of independent means, they may have to look at other options.
Yeah,
The annual agriculture show has been canceled.
that's sad.
That is
I
sad.
know. Yeah. So I think this would be the 55th agriculture show.
Pretty sure it was canceled last year too, right? I want to say it was canceled last year. I know that. I know
I can't remember.
Miles loves to go. He's only been once.
Yeah.
And I think he was, I think it was, he was
2019.
one. Yeah.
I think so too. It was the same.
Yeah. And then we were looking forward to it last year, and then it got canceled because he loves to see all the animals and all that.
Yeah.
I think this is only the third time that the agriculture show has ever been canceled. Of course, after Hurricane Ivan, it was as well. But it's a sad situation.
And they're just obviously COVID related. They don't want it to be, but it's outdoors though. Maybe if everybody wore a mask, I don't know.
So I've got a keen viewer who says that actually once it's revoked, if they come in and pay it, it gets reinstated. So I'm going to just verify that for the benefit of our listeners who may find themselves in that situation.
Did they find the South Sound attacker?
This is quite an interesting development, Aaron. So the South Sound stalker / attacker has been released on bail, the man that they have in custody. And interestingly enough, after having spoken to the victim who was attacked, she did a visual identification of him on Wednesday, and she said it's not him.
Really? Okay. So they had the wrong guy.
So if we're to believe her visual, which, sometimes those things can be tricky, but she's certain that she would know him. If
It's like a lineup. They actually did like a police lineup kind of thing.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow.
So she said that it's not him.
Wow.
Okay. Well, so the guy's still on the loose.
So it sounds like they need to release a description to the general public for our benefit.
Yeah, they need her to describe what he looks like, and then have one of those police stars.
And maybe pull some CCTV footage from the area. That would be good policing. CUC office closure. So just a reminder, if you are still one of those individuals who goes into CUC in person, they have actually closed their office until the 17th of December due to COVID situation. So they're encouraging you to use their other online options or giving them a call. I think you can do payments by phone with CUC as well. So there are other options available to you, but for now, their customer service center remains closed to the public.
If you pay cash, then
that's tough.
I think you can pay it at
transfer.
No, but to be fair to CUC, you can actually pay it at gas stations and other locations.
I did, I did see
that is true.
Yeah. So.
All
right, Sandy. Busy morning, and I'm sure you're gonna be busy on your show as well.
Absolutely, it's Rewind Monday. So.
Oh boy. So we will catch you tomorrow on the Tuesday show. Have a great one.
Have a good one. All right, folks, that's Blake and Aaron over there at 106. We are getting that much closer to actually being on air. Super excited. We hope to have things finalized this week in terms of that. And then in the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to tell you guys some more of the details of how that's going to happen and where we're going to be and what frequency we will be on. So exciting times ahead. Yes. Awesome. All right, so it is Monday Rewind. So what we're doing is we're kind of flipping the schedule a little bit in the mornings because radio is in a little bit of a tighter schedule. So that's why we haven't played our show intro yet. So now we're going to play the show intro and play a little bit of our national song to get everybody in the mood. And then it is Monday Rewind. So we're going to talk about everything that transpired over the weekend. So folks, it is 7:38. Let's get it. Happy Monday.
You're now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
folks. We're not going to play the full song. I am going to shorten it, I think, for the purposes of this show. So good morning, good morning, good morning. How are you guys doing? So much to go over. So let's play our Monday Rewind promo. You guys know how it works here on a Monday.
Time for Monday Rewind. The Cold Hard Truth's Monday Rewind show recaps the weekend's news and events so you don't miss a beat.
Don't miss out.
All the weekend's source, news, gossip, and well, it wouldn't be a weekend recap show without traffic accidents, too. Cayman Marl Road is Cayman's #1 news source and has the island's hottest morning talk show.
It's the hottest.
Make sure you don't miss a beat with Monday Rewind.
Rewind.
Tune in every Monday from 7:30 a.m. on both YouTube and Facebook.
All right, folks. Good morning, one. Good morning, all. Who do we have with us this morning? Mohammed, Hanan. Good morning, Irvelin. Good morning. The beautiful Kay is here, hearing loud and clear. Thank you so much. Ramira got it locked. Virtuous Ebanks. Good morning. How are you doing, Marshall? We got Blair joining us from Orlando. Cool Orlando. What's the 18 for? That can't be 18 degrees. Not in Orlando. 64 maybe. Janetta, good morning. Felicia, Diamond Princess. Miss Dawn is here. Look at Miss Morna. Got it locked. Good morning to Miss Brenda. Is it really 77 outside? Brr. Little chilly. Chantel, Dale has got it locked. Miss Bonnie joining us from East End. Hello, Barbara. Marva says good morning to everyone. Another beautiful day in our paradise. Brittany, thank you so much for joining us. Wee Wee is here. Olivia, Joy, Miss Beulah. Everybody's got it locked. Hey, Richie. He says, thank you for my prize. I hope you started enjoying it. Good morning to Miss Cheryl, Blissful Powell, Miss Anne, Pat, and Daisy. And by the way, I think there's still a few more people who've not actually collected their prizes yet. I have my list here somewhere. So if you are, let me just get my names out. Let's see here. So Richie is taking care of Jake. We still need to hear from Jake Manderson. So if you know Jake, message Jake. I think Jake has been busy vacationing because I've seen his pictures. And I think he's busy. Tracy Ebanks, we still have to get a hold of Tracy. We'll see if I think she works on West Bay Road. So we'll see if maybe we can head up that way today as well and link Tracy. And I think those are the only two that still we haven't arranged to get their prizes to them. So everybody else has been sorted out. Jared is away. Jared will be coming back in a couple weeks' time from Canada. So we'll speak to Jared at that time. So beautiful Daisy's got it locked. Good morning, Pat. Good morning to Miss Joy. Louis joining us from Detroit. Maria, how are you? Detroit is 18 degrees Fahrenheit today with a high of 20. Ooh, that's cold. All right, so Monday Rewind, folks. We kind of rewind it and tell you what popped off over the weekend. Someone messaged and said Jake is living his best life in the MIA, in Miami, that is, not missing in action. Well, he might be missing action in Miami. But anyway, he is living his best life. So at some point, he'll eventually return home from vacation. Listen, I've got people who have been going on vacation and actually getting stuck on vacation. So they test COVID positive while they're on vacation and they have to extend it. So folks, make sure that you actually have your contingency plan if that happens, because it's entirely possible that you plan a vacation and these are COVID times, folks. And so you have to be prepared to maybe stay a little bit longer than anticipated and budget for that. Because especially if you're staying in a hotel or even a condo facility, make sure that you're not going to find yourself, homeless in the streets of Miami because you didn't have a plan B in the event that you tested positive, right? So good morning to Alice. How are you feeling? We hope that you're on the mends from your last surgery And of course, Miss Emma is here. So one of the most shocking stories, there's a couple of shocking stories over the weekend, but one of the most shocking stories was that situation in Brazil. I watched the video footage of that, folks, and it's just hard to believe. So basically, they've been having torrential rains in Brazil. When I say torrential rains, like rain up to the housetop kind of rain, right? And they do have a lot of mountainous areas and cliffs. And of course, once those structures become waterlogged, it is easy to see how they could just fall from just being soaked with water. So apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently last year, Brazil had its worst drought in like 90 something years. And I'm sure they're now thankful for the rain, but of course, with the rain comes mudslides and so on. So this area of Lake Fumas, I think it's called, is a very, very interesting area because it's actually a man-made dam. And so that means that human beings went in and cut it open in order to gain access to different things. And they've had actually been using the dam water to alleviate some of the drought issues from last year. So now this area, reports say, get upwards of anywhere from 5,000 to 30,000 visitors from probably different areas of Brazil and maybe around the world who are, visiting the area just to see the rivers. It is a proper river. And the footage is just shocking of what was captured. So multiple people were recording, I guess, their friends and whatever and other boats. And so this was caught in real time. And in fact, I'm going to show you one of the videos. If you listen carefully, the people started to see some of the rock formation at the bottom of the cliff started to break away a little bit. And they started to warn people on the boat. But unfortunately, one boat attempted to move away. And then the other boat, I don't know if they didn't hear them or if they didn't, sometimes when you're in a situation and you hear people screaming at you, you think, oh, they're just screaming for excitement, or you don't really know what's going on. And so unfortunately, sorry, this is one of those situations where I think they didn't understand the seriousness of what was happening. So they didn't really move. And when this big slab of the cliff, literally the whole thing just broke away and fell, primarily on one boat, but there were actually 4 boats that were impacted by the fall of this piece of cliff, and over 7 people. I need to double check and see if the numbers have gone up, but some 7 people have died and dozens more were actually injured. So let me get our latest number. So now it's up to 10 people have now died, and we'll update the story because it had gone up. It was 7 on yesterday when the story initially went up. So it looks like it's now some 10 people have died, and they continue to search for victims, and dozens were injured. So have a look at this, folks. It's just next level crazy. Good morning, Tommy. How are you?
7 people have died, 3 are missing, and 27 more are injured after a giant rock formation crashed onto boats in a Brazilian lake. Officials are scrambling to identify the missing, with bad weather hampering search efforts. And a warning, some of this vision may be distressing.
A boat full of tourists desperately trying to signal for attention as they spot rocks sliding down the cliff face. A towering slab slices away and plummets into the water below, hitting 4 boats carrying at least 34 people. Captured from multiple angles, sending a wall of water like a bomb blast in the canyon. We are doing our search work on the surface of the water, in the water with the divers. The investigative work will continue. The remains of the boats below now barely recognisable, officials confirming they are still trying to figure out the identities of some of the missing. The Navy launching an investigation. Furnas Lake, 420 kilometres north of Sao Paulo, is a popular area for tourists. The towering 20-metre high cliffs composed of sedentary rock, making them more susceptible to bad weather. Locals questioning why these holidaymakers were sailing so close to them, given recent heavy rains in the area, already resulting in rock slides, submerging nearby towns, leaving hundreds of residents homeless. Alison Petrowski, 9 News.
All right, folks. So Furnace Lake was created in 1958 and is part of a hydroelectric plant, and it's a popular tourist area. And Capitolio, which has about 8,400 residents and can draw up to 5,000 visitors on a normal weekend and up to 30,000 on holiday weekends. So, folks, again, very, very shocking. Condolences go out to all of those individuals in Brazil who've been impacted by this. Quite a dramatic situation. I mean, to see them capture that in video is really shocking. But again, the number that have died has now gone up to 10. They found 2 additional persons, I think. And then there are numerous people in the hospital who have been injured as a result of this as well. So they recovered several more bodies yesterday, but more than 30 people were injured, including 9 who had to be hospitalized. Wow. It's crazy, right? The world, sometimes it's just like, what on earth? Wow. I don't know. I'm just having a quick look at that was obviously one of the bigger stories over the weekend on the international front. And of course, right here in the Cayman Islands, we've got our own sufficient drama to keep us entertained. And it's just amazing, some of the stuff that goes on here. But listen, a lot of you will be aware that last week we were all talking about this stalker person, whoever this guy is. He attacked a woman. We did an interview with her where she shared with us, her concerns about what had basically happened to her. I mean, it was a horrific situation. And she said, listen, she is more than capable of identifying this man. She felt very, very confident that she could 100% identify him. Now, I know that identification of individuals is a lot trickier than people think. The mind has a way of not being as accurate as all of us think it is. And that's one of the reasons that, other than in this day and age, other than identification of the individual, they also a good police detective will look for some sort of corroborating evidence, even if it's other circumstantial evidence that puts that individual at that location, DNA evidence and so on. And so we know that immediately they arrested a 26-year-old cyclist. The police did ask us not to identify the cyclist if we knew who he was. And in fact, we don't. I want to put that out there, because there've been a lot of people ask me, who is this guy? And I honestly have no idea, no clue who he is. So we don't know who he is, but one thing for sure is that it now appears that maybe if the victim is 100% accurate, they might have the wrong guy. So she says that's not him. Now she says she got a good look at him. He was on top of her. She could smell him. She could, she got a really, really good look at him. And she has now shared with us and shared publicly that he is not the guy. So she went on Wednesday and she did a police lineup. And she said that's not him. The police have, in the meantime, released him on bail. I think they get up to 48 hours where they can hold someone without charging them. And then they kind of need to decide what it is they're doing, or they have to, they get to have a bail application and so on. So she said it's not him. Police haven't said much of anything at all. We reached out to them over the weekend. I don't know what they do in situations like this, but one thing I know that would be incredibly useful is if we could all have a description of this man. Come on now, give us something. White, black, dark complexion, maybe what he was wearing, what kind of bicycle, if anybody got those details. The allegation is this man was cycling all up and down the South Sound area and Georgetown. Surely there has to be some video footage of him somewhere. Thank you guys so much. We've got 225 people on the live feed. Big shout out to our YouTubers who are watching as well. So I'm thinking, tell me if this is illogical or what you guys think about this, but everybody in this day and age has a Ring camera, house cameras. I mean, we got about 25 cameras at my house alone. So if you're in this neighborhood, you know, something goes down, we may have caught it. It just depends, right? And camera angles and so on. It reminds me of my neighbor. Somebody stole her grandson's bicycle recently. And she said to us, oh, would your cameras by any chance have caught that? And sure enough, because we got cameras that are purposely pointed at the public road. Because, you know, you can't just be looking at your property because someone gains access from your property to the public road. And so we also capture some surrounding properties. I remember, I think it was last year, there's a development behind us. And there were some guys there who stole some heavy equipment, the cement mixer or something. And the construction guys came to us and said, hey, we noticed that you guys have cameras. Would your cameras have caught that? The point being that no doubt someone in that area would have had a camera that would have caught this individual. And so there's been, to my knowledge, no public plea for camera footage or anything of the sort. I would, for one, like to see that happen. You know, the police can put that out there and say, if you have camera footage, please contact us, check your footage, because after a while, your footage is going to rewrite itself. It's already been a week. This is how I think the police at times can certainly step up their crime fighting initiatives. So Tracy says, is it just me or are we all variants on? Oh, not on that topic yet. So again, folks, if you have anything that can assist the police in capturing this individual, please do so, because I can tell you, if they have the wrong guy in custody, he will undoubtedly be walking here very shortly. And so that means that the right guy that they should have in custody is still out there, and he's still a danger to this community. Because given his serious actions and the way in which he attacked this woman, which was extremely serious, we should all be concerned. This is someone who is a present danger to everyone in this community, because anyone could have been jogging that morning. You, your kids, husband, wives. I mean, I don't know whether he'd attack a man, but, you know, this was a vicious attack. And so Odie has, you know, he was choking her, trying to choke her to death, it looks like to me, based on those choke marks. She's got her leg injured, cuts and bruises all over the place. So let's bring this guy in, folks. Anything that you can do. I think the police need to make a public statement about this situation. We did not even hear that he was on bail from them. It was like posted on Facebook that the dude has gotten bail. To me, that's a little bit unacceptable, given how incredibly serious people would be taking this situation. All right, so we'll leave it for the police, but we're certainly keeping an eye on the situation. So again, the stalking suspect, folks, has been released on bail, as the victim says that he's actually the wrong guy anyway. So not only will he be released on bail, but he'll be released entirely. So it seems like it was a crazy weekend again on a number of different fronts. There was a Bronx apartment complex fire that has left 19 people dead, including 9 children. This was another situation in New York. That again is really, really quite serious. You know, I feel like we hardly hear about these sort of major events like this. We think that, you know, America has the best fire codes in the world and all this sort of stuff. But there's still a lot of buildings that are aged buildings, and that, you know, when a fire breaks out, they become a fire hazard, folks. So this is, you know, one of those situations most likely. But again, asking you to keep those individuals in your prayer. That's a lot of children that have now lost their lives at this facility. A total of 63 people were actually injured, with 32 hospitalized with life-threatening conditions. And it looks like so far, you know, some 19 people have died, including 9 children. So they're not quite sure of the cause of the fire yet, but they're saying that it doesn't look suspicious. It's probably just one of those situations where it was some sort of an accident. So the New York Fire Department, considered one of the best, I think, in the U.S., were out in full force. They had about 200 fire officers out at the scene trying to fight this fire at this 19-story apartment building there in the Bronx in New York. So it started a little bit after 11 a.m. in a duplex apartment on the second and third floors of the building, and the heavy smoke and fire reportedly filled hallways of the building, and it spread quickly from there. So the mayor of New York, Eric Adams, told CNN that this is going to be one of the worst fires that we've witnessed during modern times here in the city of New York. And, the governor, who's Governor Kathy Hochul, I believe is how it's pronounced, said that she was horrified by the devastating fire in the Bronx today, and that her heart goes out to the loved ones of those who were tragically lost, and of all of those who were impacted. And of course, again, the firefighters were there trying to save lives and trying to put this fire out. So El Rey, good morning. Said the police should be walking the area and checking to which homes have security cameras, as opposed to waiting for someone to put theirs and say, hey, I have a camera. Exactly. I mean, I don't know what they're doing. They've certainly not informed us. So it does, to our parents, look like they're doing nothing. I mean, maybe they are, but, we're just not seeing it. So it would be good to get an update. See, this is good PR now, right? When you have a major incident like this, in other places in the world, they would call the press briefing. This is where Cayman needs to get the ish together. They would have a press briefing, and the police representatives or the commissioner would get up there and said, we've had this serious attack that we're extremely concerned about. Like anything that stands out as extraordinary in a community when it comes to community crimes and that sort of thing, the police will normally have a press conference. Here in Cayman, I don't know, are we following the English model? Because I'm thinking of the American model in my head. I don't know how they do it in the UK, but this model of remaining silent doesn't really help to build confidence. Doesn't help to build confidence in the community of your policing efforts. And so when they talk about, they have acquired a certain reputation and nobody believes in the police, part of it is just good public relations, folks. Have a damn press conference and let us know what's going on. So Tin, no, she said that that's not her attacker at all. Can you believe it? Philip, we do have a forensics team here that apparently can do DNA work. So to the best of my knowledge, yes, that can be done if he left some DNA behind, but obviously they need to be able to match it to somebody else. Buenos dias, Miss Alba. Someone else has shared via WhatsApp that in the UK, they would have a press briefing for serious crimes. Well, maybe an attack of this nature isn't considered a serious crime in other jurisdictions, but for Cayman, a total stranger attack is still a serious crime. And I'm thinking that, even when we had the police, not the police, but the shooting at the nightclub and stuff, we didn't see any kind of like press briefing on any of these things. Yes, Natasha, wouldn't that be great if we had a sketch, if they could have pulled video footage and shared the video footage with the community? I mean, you ask for the community's help in crime fighting, but in order to provide that assistance, folks, we need information. Like, who are we looking for? Like I said, any kind of a description of the attacker, male, how high he might be, I spoke with an accent, which I don't think he actually said anything to her. So she probably doesn't know that. But, bearded, not bearded, color of this complexion, like something that we could kind of help you with, right? We want to help the police, but I think we need a little bit more from them. So someone said, if the wrong man was arrested for this crime on these ladies, where's the drawing of the person who attacked the woman? That we don't have anything. Have we ever even seen I know this is a common practice in the US, or they'll do a composite drawing of someone that they're looking for. I've never even seen anything like that here. Do we even have a composite artist here in the Cayman Islands? A sketch artist? I don't think so. Mind you, in this day and age, they could probably just Zoom somebody in and do it as a Zoom call. Put together a composite sketch. Even that would be helpful. It's not that hard to do because you can link with those professionals no matter where they are now, because we have access to things like Zoom calls and just all sorts of online calling platforms. Come on, folks, get it together. Ms. Brenda said St. Vincent and the Grenadines, first Caribbean island to export cannabis, went to Europe. Okay. Well, I'm not sure cannabis is going to help this crime fighting situation, but, if you call on the public to assist with crime fighting, then give us something to help you out with. 256 people in the live stream. Let's keep it moving. Folks, we announced earlier that I think it was on last week, I want to say Wednesday or Thursday, there was a story up about a horrific attack on some individuals that, from all appearances, from the people involved, it seems like it was a hate crime. And so now we have an exclusive report to share with you this morning. We haven't even yet had an opportunity to put this story up on the website, but there has been a award put up for the capture of the capture and successful conviction of whatever men are responsible for this attack in the Strand. So pay attention, folks, because it's some good money. $10,000. $10,000 for the capture and conviction of the two men that beat up two gay men in the Strand car park in an obvious homophobic and hate crime. So you're hearing it here first. This money is being offered by private individuals who wish to remain anonymous, but they will work through the Crime Stoppers. So if you have any tips, listen, Crime Stoppers may not have even been notified yet. This is how fresh this information is. But if you have any information at all that can assist the police with this investigation, with this crime, please make contact with them, because you could very well walk away with $10,000 cash. We said it last week, this is a horrific crime, and it's very, very unfortunate that anyone would want to do this. But again, I don't know what the police are doing. Have they pulled footage from the Strand? There's numerous businesses there. I mean, I would have thought that the Strand car park would have one of the best cameras in the entire island, given how many murders they've had there. I'm just saying, if anybody should have good security cameras, it should be the Strand. So this, to me, this should have been an open and shut case, but we've not heard of any arrests being made. Anyway, folks, if you have any information that can assist the police with that situation, because somebody knows. In my mind, especially a place as small as Cayman, because y'all know you sneeze and already everybody reporting that to Ma Road, so we know what happens. Somebody knows something, is what I always say. And regardless of, sometimes criminals talk on themselves. They can't often keep it to themselves. They might be home bragging about how they beat these guys up and blah, blah, blah. I don't care if it's your cousin, your daddy, your uncle, whoever. Turn him in, because $10,000 is a lot of money. And I think someone who would assault total strangers needs to be behind jail, especially under the circumstances. Okay. $10,000 award, folks. And remember, this was a vicious attack as well. I don't want us to, underestimate or make light of the injuries. One of the individuals actually sustained a broken nose. Now, I've never had a broken nose in my life, but I can only imagine that that's one of the most painful facial injuries that you probably can have. You know? All right. All right. So, assist if you can, folks. Somebody has just sweetened the pot. I mean, I would have thought people would do this for all the right reasons, but now you've got a motivation to do it if that's what it took. Okay, Maria, good morning. They can, but if it wasn't collecting before she showered, it's too. No. I can't remember if this was actually part of the interview or not, to be honest, because I did speak with Odie, the victim, off camera as well. So I can't remember if this was part of the interview, but I do know that the police took her into the station first for like her statement and collection of DNA and stuff like that. And then she was taken to the hospital. So hopefully, I mean, in this day and age, it's very, very likely that, he would have left some trace of DNA. And, DNA technology has gotten so much better than it was even in the 80s and 90s. Like, I'm always fascinated by cases that are solved because of updated DNA evidence. Over the weekend, I was reading this article. I don't even know how I came across it, but I was reading on my phone about this girl. I think she was only 21 years old when she was killed in, I want to say maybe New Mexico, but somewhere in the States. Arquette was her last name. And I only remember that because apparently her mother was a crime fighter, not crime fighter. Her mother was a crime, like she wrote crime novels and stuff like that. And then after her daughter's murder, she actually stopped writing crime novels. Like, she was an award-winning, crime novelist. And then, unfortunately, her daughter became a victim of a vicious crime. And you know what is so funny? I told you guys I've been binge watching Unsolved Mysteries, right? This was actually one of those stories that was featured on Unsolved Mysteries. And so at the time of the incident, her family actually thought that the person who did it, this was their thinking. Let me see if I can find it. They actually thought that her name was Caitlin Arquette. She was 21 years old at the time of her murder. And back in, when was she killed? I think it was it might have been the late 80s, might have been 89 or so. She was 18 years old. So her mom was this acclaimed writer, Lewis Duncan. She did a lot of crime novels and whatever, but after her daughter was murdered, she had stopped writing those. But so Caitlin was murdered. And when they did the Unsolved Mysteries episode, her family actually thought that a logical suspect was the boyfriend. She was dating this Asian American guy, and he was a little bit older than her, and he'd like lied about his age. And there was a few other like things that kind of made you go, could he have been? And apparently they were involved in this Asian, it was the Asian community in, I think she lived in New Mexico. Yes. And they had actually been involved in an insurance scam. So, here, quite interesting enough, we covered a story about this recently. There are people who, it's a big thing in the US where you participate. Most of the people who are making the money are the people at the top, the lawyers and the crime organizers of this. So they'll stage an accident. And sometimes they stage it with both people are active participants in the scam. And other times they will set up the accident where the people participating have someone rear end them, like they box in one of those big trucks, and people have been killed trying to pull off the scam, and unfortunately the people at the bottom get paid very, very little, but they're people who are just desperate for money. So going back to the whole point of DNA evidence, right? This is like some 30 years ago that this young lady who was 18 years old at the time was shot and killed. And just last August, her poor family had it featured in Unsolved Mysteries and all this kind of stuff. And then last August, last summer, they actually have a man now who is claiming that he is the person who killed her. And so the police are still investigating, his, I guess, confession. But apparently he has been monitored by the mom as a suspect since the early 1990s. So initially they thought it was a boyfriend. And they actually said that in their Unsolved Mysteries interview, that they didn't feel like the boyfriend had been looked at enough. But the police have said that, the boyfriend was not a suspect. And despite the fact that the family had thought so, they, they really didn't think that it was him, and they had reasons to believe that that was the case. So it was featured in Unsolved Mysteries back in 1993. Her mom died in 2016. So of course the mother will never have this information. And now this man has come forward, Paul Apodaca, said that, he now says that he's the one who actually did it. And interestingly enough, she listed him, the mother thought he might have been a suspect because he was the first person at the crime scene. And so he also drove a Volkswagen, which several witnesses said that they saw fleeing after the shooting. So 32 years later, he is confessing to his crime. Now, mind you, I don't know kind of what evidence, some crimes are a little bit more difficult to get DNA from, but I don't know what corroborating evidence they'll have. But, you can't just take somebody's word for it that they are the person who did it. Because sometimes people actually confess to stuff, especially in the US, child, they're crazy. There are times when they'll confess to stuff that they didn't actually do. They just want the notoriety or whatever. But it looks like this guy probably did it. And as it turns out, he's actually confessed to more than one murder. He also confessed to the murder of a 21-year-old, at least another person. So he appears to be a serial killer. So that particular murder may have been resolved. But folks, every single year, DNA evidence gets better and better. So it is possible that, that this is the case. So I don't know what DNA evidence the police have. Again, they haven't really said much except that they had arrested a 21-year-old here on the bicycle. No, this isn't the Cape Cod one. I've been watching a lot of Unsolved Mysteries lately. We've got like a channel that's like a 24/7 Unsolved Mysteries. And I got to tell you, it is kind of addictive, to be honest. You look at it and you go, oh my God, what's, let me see if I can help solve a mystery, like he always used to say. All right, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. This is Monday Rewind, our show here that we do every single Monday where we go through all the weekend happenings. Not too many traffic accidents over the weekend. I'm happy to say I didn't really receive any footage of any crazy ones. Someone says with the amount of manhandling that was done, there must be some genetic evidence that he would have left behind. Well, let's hope so. So, yeah, I mean, we can hope so. But of course, again, they kind of need somebody to match it with. Can somebody riddle me this, answer this question for me? Here in the Cayman Islands, do we have a any kind of a genetic database? Like when people are arrested, you know, in the U.S., both the federal government and at the state level, I think it's now a federal database. They have like this DNA bank essentially, where they put all these DNA profiles in there. So once you're arrested, they'll enter your DNA. And a lot of cases have been solved this way, where they actually will put a newly arrested person's DNA in the system, and they run it through all these millions of records, I suppose, that they have, and they get a hit of like a cold case or whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, here's this man who's now being arrested for burglary or some petty crime in his 60s and 70s. And he murdered somebody 30 years ago that was an unsolved murder. Like, you know how many cases that has happened with? Do we have such a database in the Cayman Islands? Like, as someone is arrested, we're collecting DNA evidence. Does it go into any kind of DNA bank? I've never heard of one, so I kind of think we probably don't have anything like that. But I'm curious. Does anybody know? Ms. Brenda says no. We only have fingerprints. Whew. Wow, we need to get it together in a hurry. No, sir. So the DNA database in the US can be used by law enforcement agencies to identify suspects of crime. The first government database was set up by the United Kingdom actually in April of 1995, interestingly enough. That one was called the National DNA Database, NDNAD. And of course, now I think most major countries have it. So Cayman, fingerprint. Who using fingerprints anymore? What a mess. So there's a whole article here about the different types of DNA testing that's available. I think when the mitochondrial DNA analysis came into its own, that really was the game changer because of the sequence of the quality. And, you know, you only needed a very small fragment of DNA to be able to test. Because sometimes what ended up happening is it was very, very difficult if the sample size was too long, and there were police officers and FBI agents and so on who were actually afraid of using existing samples because they knew that once the sample was used up, then that was it. And it couldn't be reused, right? You use that sample and there was no method of reusing it. The technology has now allowed them, to the best of my knowledge, and I was watching something quite recently on this, but to use DNA evidence and almost to not replicate it, but expand its possibility of being used for testing purposes more than once. And there was a really interesting case in the, I want to say it must have been, oh God, what country was it? Was it the UK or Australia? I don't believe it was the US, but there was this guy who was going around, he was an African guy, purposely infecting women with the HIV virus back in the day. And they were charging him, oh, let me see. Oh, this case, it was actually in one of these real crime things on Facebook that I watch. I think it was in the UK. But he ended up dying. The irony of it is he ended up dying before the judge rendered his decision, like right before, which is crazy. Oh God, I'd have to look at this. But anyway, one of the things that took some time is the fact that the DNA evidence, right? And there was one other location that they were able to do this kind of sequence and test where they took a small sample and they had a sample of his, but they could actually identify the specific strain. That's what it was. It wasn't just about, did he infect these people? They had to narrow it down to the particular strain of HIV that he had. And the interesting thing about him is his strain was so unique, because there are specific strains that come out of, like, I want to say he was from Uganda or someplace in Africa, but the specific strain that he had was not yet introduced into whatever country he was in. Like, there was no records of that particular strain. So he brought it to that country, and he went around infecting multiple people with this virus. Oh God, this is one of those, when you're up late at night and you're obviously nothing else to do, you're watching something on Facebook, and this is one of those Facebook videos I was watching. I was like, wow, this is so interesting. But at the time, it was scientifically newsworthy, and the scientist in the case, who was assisting the police, was able to replicate the let me just see if I can find that again. But he was actually able to replicate this other test that had been done, where they could, narrow it down and take the sample and test all these women. I mean, he infected multiple women. I think the case, they might have had 3 or 4 women who were infected by him. And sadly, at that time, a HIV diagnosis was almost like a death sentence. Like, these women really felt like their lives were over. Yeah, pretty crazy. Anyway, I'll see if I can find that video, because it was very, very interesting, I thought. So, advances in modern technology, absolutely amazing. And the more that we know and the more that we learn scientifically, the tighter these cases can be built, and the more challenging it becomes for people to get away with these sorts of crimes. So, we'll see. Like I said, the police actually have not said very much about this case at all, and I think that they need to make some kind of statement. If I can find that video, I will share it with you guys, because this was a very, very interesting case. I can't remember how long ago it was, but I'll have a look at it and see if I can find it. Yeah, I think it was sometime last month for sure. I'll see if I can find it and share it with you guys. Facebook now has, by the way, Facebook search has really improved significantly. So you can go into your activity log and see, you're the only person that can see it, but it will show you all of the videos and stuff that you've been watching. Here's one from the 17th. Let me see if this is it. No, that was somebody getting married from December 17th. But yeah, it'll show you a history of the videos and stuff that you've watched. Because sometimes you're trying to go back and find something like, when did I watch that video? What was that? So this one, I'll see if I can find it, because it was a super interesting video, scientifically and otherwise. So I'll go back. I feel like it was one day last month, but I'll have a look and see if I can find it, and I'll stick it in the chat a little bit later on. Some interesting. I'm looking at my Facebook history, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. Some days I'll watch a couple videos, and some days I'm not really there at all with the video watching, right? So I don't think it was November. It would have been last month. And I started watching videos on the 2nd. Looks like I watched a few videos that day. Let me see. I don't feel like it was that long ago. I felt like it was just a couple weeks ago. So anyway, I'll have a look when I have a bit more time. So Jean Scott says, yes, as far as I know, they have it here. Being the database? I don't think so. Tracy says, we don't have a DNA bank, but we do have a fingerprint database. Well, I think it's time for us to get with the times a little bit, if that's the case. Why don't we have a DNA bank? That just sounds a little bit like we're living in the 1990s. Well, I'll see what I can find. It'd be good if they actually had the title of the video here, because they only show you, it's like a little preview window, but to be honest, you can't really tell much from that preview window of what you're watching. Anyway, I will find it because it was super, super interesting. Yeah. All right. I'd like some answers about that. I don't know about you all, but let me know. Okay, so another weekend news. Our friend Lavelle was back. Jesus, this woman is just like. Did you guys hear? Let's listen to a little bit of her rant on this. Would have been Saturday. So apparently, she must have got out of jail on Friday, or out of police custody on Friday evening, because she sent me a voice note on Friday where she was just laughing the entire voice note. So I'm going to share this with you guys because listen, the woman may have mental health issues. I'm not disputing that, but I'm also telling you guys that she's a classic narcissist. She sent me a voice note that was 1 minute and 5 seconds, and this is what it was. So listen to this, folks, because this says a lot about her. So this was sent Friday evening. I'm guessing after she got out. So here we go. I'm truly amazed by God's goodness. So that was the first message that she sent. I'm not sure what she thinks is so funny. That's all she did for 1 minute and 5 seconds is laugh. Okay. She then on Saturday morning decided to get up and send even more information, and she put together this very lengthy video, which or not video, but voice note, which went viral. So we're not going to listen to the whole thing, but let's listen to the first snippet of it so that we can pay attention and discuss this in context.
It is indecent exposure. Good morning, Lavelle Marriott here. So you're all aware by now that I was arrested, yes, from the government building, and on suspicion of indecent exposure after Sandra Catron took a picture of me and edited it and put it on Cayman Mall Road. And everybody started jumping and press and started gag over it, saying, look, can you believe it? Excuse me. Can you believe it? Look at Lavelle. Really? Is my front and have eyes to see? Is really and truly my body you need to pay attention to. You forget the fact, say, I have been at the government building for the last 85 days, declaring to the government that there is a criminal offense a criminal offense. A doctor kidnapped me and held me in the hospital and drugged me 22 days. Yeah? Twice, 22 days in total. Well, 25 days to be exact. Drug me, kidnap me. What do you mean kidnap you, Lavelle? He kidnapped me. Me and my children could not have a say over my life. My family could not have a say. My spouse couldn't have a say. My next of kin have no say, and turn around and try to send me off to have me murder in Jamaica. And you all stand aside and watch and say, oh my God, look what happened. She go to the government house and she put out her horse. What level of ignorance is that? What level? So they arrest me and brought me to Fairbanks. And the Holy Ghost said, come, Lavelle, it's time to take a shower. Come, let me show you what indecent exposure is. And when he brought me around the corner to the shower, you know what? The police officers, every police officers in Fairbanks can sit down at the detention center and watch every woman wash them pom pom. Let me be straight out. Is that indecent exposure? That is what indecent exposure look like, Mr. Government. When you disrespect the modesty of a woman like that, that a woman have to publicly wash her front in front of police officers. Police. Not one, not two, not three, 4 or 5 police officers can sit down at them computer and watch every woman in a Fairbanks wash them front. That is what you call indecent exposure. Oh, so what about over 8,000 people step into Cayman Islands off of the cruise ship, and how many of them walk out them horse out the door and decide so them a turn them front, they turn them back, and then they turn everywhere. And the same police officers walk when they pass by the police officer, the police so them take a second look on them horse. Who is being arrested for indecent exposure? Oh, Lavelle, remember now you're not white. Okay, so what happened? Let me talk to you again about what indecent exposure look like. So all them white women will spread out them ass from 7 Mile Beach and spread out them front on 7 Mile Beach. So them a turn up them everywhere. That is not indecent exposure. Hush. Yeah? So when these...
All right, folks. I can't take any more of the nonsense, but first of all, it seems to me that Lavelle is trying to build a defense. Okay. So her defense is this, and this certainly, sure, Rainbow says that she's not fool. She isn't as fool as people might want to believe. Now, that doesn't mean that she doesn't have mental health issues, but her intellect seems to be very much intact. So her first line of defense is that I doctored the photo of her, which is completely false. And if her word meant anything in this community, I suppose this would be one of those situations where that would be defamation of character, but nobody not paying Lavelle no mind. Like, anyone who has seen the video for themselves knows that, number one, I didn't record it. Like I said, I purposely avoid the government building because she's out there. And that's horrible because I do have business in the government building. And I try not to go because I don't want to even see this in person or have to engage with this woman, right? How sad is that? Because I'm sure I'm not the only person who's like, oh, she's out there today, I'm not going. So she's claiming that I doctored a photo of her and that's the issue. That's not the issue at all. The issue is your behavior. So try and take some accountability for what it is, woman, that you're doing. And it is your behavior that is the problem. Your ongoing behavior. Huh? I doctored a photo of her, and that is why the police arrested her. Lavelle, are you serious? That's the best you got in terms of a defense? Well, that's not going to be very good. And then her other defense is, well, they have the definition of indecent exposure wrong. They're trying to define what I'm doing as indecent exposure, but in fact, look at what other people are doing. So the police and, the prison staff having to monitor inmates showering, which they might do for their own security reasons. If that happens, I don't know if that actually happens or not, but she claims that it happens. And that's indecent exposure. Well, the irony of it is, even if that were true, which I don't really know, they might be monitoring the shower area. I somehow doubt that they're standing up, looking at them and whatever. But what she was doing in front of the government building, This woman talked about her private pum pum is sanctified. What does that mean? Because if this is the definition of a sanctified pum pum, I would hate to see one that's not sanctified. What would that be like? What would she be doing with an unsanctified pum pum? How would she be stretching that all over Georgetown and all over Kingdom Come? Honestly, definitely some screws not 100% tight. And it's like you can't even take her seriously. Like I don't even know. I don't even know what to say. You know, everybody was having a good laugh. Oh my God, I received that voice note. First of all, she sent it to me first thing in the morning. So I got it, I suppose, before anybody else. And then everybody else, I don't know how people got a hold of it, who else she sent it to, whatever. And people started circulating it. And, you know, it kind of went viral in the community. And everybody's laughing at her talking about a sanctified pum pum. And I'm just like, you know, I'm going to make the point that she obviously has religious delusions. Like she cannot believe that what she is doing, I mean, I guess she believes it, but none of us believe that what she's doing would be sanctified or sanctioned by anything in the name of God. I mean, this is an abomination. This is an abominated pum pum, not a sanctified pum pum. What are you talking about? Sanctified? Yeah, I don't know what sanctified means in that context. She's not playing with a full deck, none at all. So I don't engage her. She sends these messages. On Thursday morning, she sent some message about Horse Tonic, all natural male enhancer, made in the Cayman Islands. Apparently, I'm guessing she makes this male enhancer. So for you men who are interested in having access to a sanctified pum pum, apparently she says that God has considered her worthy. This is the message she sent on Thursday morning. God has considered me worthy to have blessed me with ingredients to make this life-changing product, to bring life, confidence, and hope to the bedroom of many. To you all, glory, Almighty God, in Jesus' name, amen. The religious delusions is just absolutely astonishing. So not only does she claim that she has a sanctified pum pum, apparently she's also an expert and has produced a male enhancing. Here it is, Horse Tonic. Now, I don't know who told her that men are horses, but anyway, there you go. She's created this all natural male enhancer that she claims is going to help men, I guess, capture the sanctified pum pum. I don't know how many y'all are they looking for one, but anyway, instructions, massage it on the, and she's put that, the P word in capital letters, which is kind of interesting. Now, I'm going to warn all men in this community, because if y'all this fool to go buy anything from Lavelle and rub it on your private parts, when your private parts fall off, don't come to CMR looking for any consumer assistance, because I'm going to tell you, quite frankly, you would deserve for it to fall off. So on Thursday morning, when she showed up with this, selling and promoting. See her little business cards and whatever there. Selling and promoting her goods. And that has to be unlawful. Which business license you have for this, please tell me. Someone said it's probably just water. Well, I wouldn't chance it. I know one thing. If I was a man or a woman, I wouldn't be rubbing anything that Lavelle has provided in any part of my body, and definitely not my privates. So yes, some of you have made the observation that she has a spouse. So she did make mention of a spouse, and we've not been able to confirm who the spouse is. A lot of people said that she used to be married to some Inspector Lavelle or some Lavelle that's actually a police officer, which is that. Listen, if that's true, that is just so ironic. Now, notice what she said happened to her. She claims that for 25 days, she was put into basically a mental health facility. And it sounds like this was one of those holds, those emergency holds, right? And oh, nobody could see her, her family couldn't see her. Well, we've never heard from Lavelle's family, but I'm willing to bet that they were probably praying that they could have kept her longer for 25 days, or that they would take her in now. And remember how we keep having this discussion about what can be done about Lavelle? Everybody's like, commit her, Section 9 her, whatever the section is called. This is what has happened to her already. And this is what she's obsessed about, claiming that by exercising that part of the law, they have breached her human rights and this and that, and they tried to kill her. And you also notice that they apparently wanted to send her to Jamaica, which has been our suggestion as well. She needs some professional, homegrown care from Jamaican physicians, because I feel like they have more experience in dealing with cases like this, and they would do a much better job at it. So they were going to force her to a facility there in Jamaica, and you see, that's what she doesn't want. Isn't she a smart one? That's part of the issue. Y'all need to wake up now, Pay attention to what I'm telling you. Because this woman is smart enough to know. You heard what she said? Oh, they're trying to send me to Jamaica to be killed. Who in Jamaica is going to kill you? The medical professionals? The police, if you go over there and act like this in Jamaica? She is very lucid and very aware of what's going on. I almost feel like inviting this woman on the program, but I can't take no more of the foolishness. Emmy says, build the woman a pole. I don't know how a pom-pom can be sanctified and be sprawled out like that, to be honest. Evelyn, yes, she did mention that she has a man. She says, so she have a spouse and out a road behave like that? Who her man? I don't know. Sure, Rainbow says she not fool. Blissful Powell says about the detention center at Fairbanks that police can see you bathe. That's not true. At least that much I know for a fact. I mean, Blissful, we can accuse the police and the prison of a lot of things, but there are some things that are so far-fetched. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. I'm sure when you go in, they do a proper check of you, and maybe that involves a cavity check, because who knows what she might have up that boom boom. Maybe she got one of those tonic things hidden up in there that she can try and rub on the other inmates or something. I mean, I don't know. So I'm sure they do a sufficient check of you, which is customary probably when you go to jail. I don't know. I've not been there yet. But having said that, I don't feel like in Cayman, it's not like a high security prison in the States where they think you're going to have a blade up your parts or your hoo-ha, whatever, right? So I'm on this issue going to go with Blissful Powell and say that Blissful Powell probably knows what she's talking about. And again, this woman is making up lies to try to, put herself in a much better position than she should really be in. So Evelyn says 3 different scenarios with the beach and the tourists. Yes. And then she circles back around and then she says, oh, what the tourists come here and wear and what they do, that's indecent exposure, how they walk around the beach and blah, blah, blah. And then there's a lot of people trying to justify it with the carnival. Now, let me say this about trying to make a comparison of what she was doing with carnival. First of all, I've never participated in a carnival, but I have, like last year, I was on the sidelines briefly recording and sharing the, which one was that? I think that one was the K-Mass Carnival, right? And what I would say is this. Have I seen skimpy outfits at carnivals? Yes. To the best of my recollection, the wearing of a G-string is still not permitted. And this was something that, remember, many, many years ago, I'm sure I remember this when I first came back to Cayman in the 90s, that a tourist was either arrested and or warned for prosecution for wearing a G-string. So I don't really see people at Carnival wearing G-strings. They might be wearing like kind of bikini bottoms or whatever, but most of them have much of their butt cheek covered. And then they're wearing stockings. Sometimes they're wearing shorts over, even if they have a bikini bottom or whatever, they're also wearing shorts and stuff as well. The vast majority of revelers in Carnival have on more clothing than Lovell. And I'm going to put my neck out on a limb here and just tell you that is my position. And I don't think it's much of a limb because, again, like I said, we can go back and look at the footage from last year's event. And, I feel pretty confident that's the case. Let me see. I think it was K-Mass, right? That was the one that I just happened to have been, quite ironically, on the path for the parade. And so I went out and captured a little bit of the footage. Okay. The other thing that's important is you've got to I'm going to show you guys, I've just pulled up some stuff here. You've got to put this in context. So unlike Lovell, who's out there doing the most at Carnival, in front of the government building, these people are not gyrating, carrying on like this in front of a carnival, in front of a government building. So here's a photo. Again, they have on more on the bottom, definitely, than Lovell does, these women here. Now this one, she's wearing almost, it looks like is it a 1 or 2 piece? But again, yep, she is gyrating on him. This is one of those that we thought was incredibly inappropriate and that the officers should have been reprimanded for. Absolutely. Folks, this is an annual event within the confines of, a parade. And we all understand what Carnival is all about. But these are not people who are standing up on a public street for 85 days wanting to behave and go on like this. This is not a place of business. If this goes against your moral standard and you don't want anything to have to do with, watching people gyrating in a carnival setting, then you know what? You just don't go. I don't participate in Carnival and I don't go. I don't have any interest in Carnival on that level. I think it can be good, clean, fun, and whatever. Right? But the vast majority of people actually behave themselves. What Lovell is doing, I think this was the one in August. Most people had on more clothes than her. See, some people even wear shorts and a t-shirt. Right? Most of them just walking because at this point they're already worn out 10 minutes into the parade. They're already worn out and tired. Right. Most of those people have on more clothing than her. Most of those girls have on more clothing than her. And they're still not going on like her. And again, I think the context does matter. This is not in front of a government building. We should be ashamed to allow this woman to stand there and continue to do this with dignitaries, potentially people visiting from all over coming and witnessing this. It's an abomination is what it is. She needs to talk about her abomination of a pom pom and stop talking foolishness about sanctified. So she says, oh, this is indecent exposure. Well, I'm guessing if these people cross the line, they might be open to certain level of prosecution. But again, the vast majority of them are doing nowhere near what Lovell is doing. They're just walking. Look here. They have on their little outfits, their little bikini bottoms, their carnival tops. Look there, right? More of their rear end covered than hers. I hate to say it, but it's true. All right, this one up top there, that looks like a little close to being a G-string, but it's hard to see in this video, but someone like her oftentimes is actually wearing stockings or fishnet or whatever underneath it. So it might look nude from a distance, and this isn't the best photo quality in the world, but it might look nude from a distance. But when you actually see it, they have some skin covering or whatever over that. And again, it's Carnival. You expect to see a little skin at a carnival. Do I expect to see skin going to renew my business license? No, I'm not expecting no skin for that. I want to go and renew my business license. I want to go to lands and surveying to take care of business. No, sir. Anyway, so she confirmed for us a little bit about her history and what her issues are, why she thinks, oh, somebody tried to kill her. Now, for those of you who've been trying to give her some credit about, oh, maybe somebody really did try to kill her. Section 9ing her, I think it's section 9 or section 13, which is a mandatory, where they put you, in a mandatory, in a facility under a mandatory section. I think that she needs more of that. All right, so Blissful said, when in his cell, there is camera to see you on the bedding, but not even when you use the toilet in the cell, you can be seen on the camera. She's not being truthful with that story. She probably don't even know what's going on in prison jail. Gabby says, every time you say boom, boom, I'm dying. So listen, forgive me last week for not being aware. We were having a little bit of a joke about some guy in East End. I think I was mispronouncing his name, actually. I was saying pom pom then too when it wasn't. Y'all got to forgive me for that. But you guys were suggesting that maybe she needs to talk to this fella named Pom Pom, is what I've since been corrected. And I don't know. I thought this was some kind of joke. I didn't know this was an actual person. But I have since found out, to my shock and surprisation, that Pom Pom has a history, or not a history. He has a reputation for being well endowed. How y'all never told me this before this? I never heard nothing about Pom Pom. Wow. So I don't know all the details, but a guy told me, Sandy, I heard your comments. Do you not know who Pom Pom is from East End? I'm like, I don't know. They're like, oh, the rumor is he has a reputation for being the most well-endowed man in the Cayman Islands. I said, wow, really? Mess with him. Anyway, I'm not so sure that the sanctified parts can probably handle that sort of situation. But anyway, she claims that she's a married woman. Where's the husband in all this? I don't think the kids would have any control over the situation, but it does make you wonder that if she has a spouse, if she has a husband, what is his role in trying to get her help? Now, mind you, sometimes you really can't help spouses and stuff either, They're beyond, you try to leave it to the professionals. And I think in that case, that's probably when you need to get yourself a divorce. Don't allow her to keep carrying your name. Divorce her behind. Tracy says what she's saying someone, is that really a person or hallucinations? And if she does exist, check on that man. He could be held hostage. Oh, I don't know. Because in my mind, you can't have a man and have a sanctified pom pom at the same time. It's either, as Caymanians would say. Because I'm sure, well, Marriott, not a Caymanian name, so he's a Jamaican. And guess what? You're not going to be with no right-thinking Jamaican man. And he going to talk about you going to be able to keep a sanctified pom pom long around him. Some of them will marry you just to get to it. So you better try and figure that one out. That sounds like a bag of confusion. Binks Vegas is abomination, shall. Lots of abominations going on around here. Yeah, Carnival just don't make no sense. Anyway, let's move on. She's had her 15 minutes of fame. She's an attention whore, by the way, which means that she likes the attention. And so what can you do? Now somebody else is saying, well, why can't we go and protest on the government steps? All the women in Cayman to come out and protest about this guy that is now set free and they have not arrested anyone. That is worthy of a protest. Someone says, as bad as it sounds, I'm afraid to go out in my car. I'm looking over my shoulder, panicking just to get blanket out of my hammock from my back porch. What kind of life is that while this monster's out on the streets? Yikes. Ciao. I don't know what to tell you. But yeah, that's the situation. Very, very sad. Let me see some other comments. So someone says, morning, Sandra. Any person arrested in the Cayman Islands is recorded on a domain locally that links to international domain for fingerprints, buccal swabs, etc., is taken and placed on record. So we have access to the international DNA. The DNA bank overseas. Let me just clarify this. Apparently, our information is put into a domain locally that's linked to the international one. So I'm just clarifying, does that mean that we have access to any DNA matches? All right, so the other situation over the weekend that we have to unfortunately talk about. So Moya, thank you for your comment. Says, I don't know how she said the photo was edited, as I was present that day, and that photo is accurate. And I also witnessed when Carmille touched her shoulders to talk to her about her behavior, and her rational reaction was to rear back and clot Camille so hard. Oh, that's Carmelie. So hard she went stumbling. Carmelie went stumbling, or is that somebody else? Or is that some other Camille? And I'm sure the government cameras caught that. She can't say it's a lie. Well, I don't know why she isn't being charged with assault as well. You see, this is the slackness of what is happening. Folks, she needs multiple charges. Indecent assault should be the least of her worries if a camera actually caught her assaulting someone. She should be charged for that as well, because she shouldn't be permitted to assault people and simply get away with it. Am I right or am I right here? Morning. Okay. So I would suggest that some other charges be looked at. So since we're on the topic of people who like to lie and cause confusion in the community, let's talk about Mario ranking for just a minute. Yes, that was a shady boots moment. I don't even want to spend a whole lot of time talking about him, because God knows he just gets under my skin. But we wished him well. It looks like he has made a full recovery, because now he's up and in the most. So someone told me he's over there telling his lies, and I guess the fool people are watching him. Here's the thing, right? He claims that he wasn't COVID positive, and he put up a test over the weekend to demonstrate that he wasn't COVID positive. The only thing that I would say about that is, why haven't we seen the PCR tests? I'm just saying. We know he would have had a PCR test done, because when you go to the hospital and you're admitted, you have to have a PCR test done. So if you have a PCR test done, right, you would then be able to produce that. Now, if let's for argument's sake say that he did this test, like he actually did it and it's not somebody else's test, because there's so many possibilities with a lateral flow test. My apologies, right? So if he actually did this lateral flow test, and that was his result, we didn't say that the day that he ran away and 2 days later taking this lateral flow test and putting it up saying that, ooh, this is a lie. There's a bit of a lapse of when we actually reported that he was COVID positive. And the lateral flow test, depending on his viral load, may actually no longer be showing a positive result. The point that we made is, when he was in the hospital, he tested positive, and he was positive at that time. And, the only way he can convince me that that wasn't the case is to show me the actual test results. So in other words, the PCR test with his name on it, real time, don't doctor it, of when the article was put up saying you were positive, which has been well over a week, versus when that PCR test was given. We don't have much time to play with him, because if y'all have not figured out as yet that Mario is not the most honest person in the world, and I'm not trying to tear down my own Caymanians, but there is a sense of honesty that is required in our dealings in life. And he does not have a track record of being honest in anything that he does. Just like Lovell can get on a voice note and claim that we doctored a photo. That's a lie. So from her starting off her tirade, rant about the situation, and she starts it out with a lie. I honestly start to tune out because I'm like, why would you have to lie? Everything that flows from that is suspect to me. Like Blissful Powell said, she's lying about the situation at the prison as well. And I'm going to believe Blissful Powell over Lavelle because Lavelle had just proven herself to be a liar in the first part of that audio note. So why would she 2 minutes in tell the truth? Are there some elements of accuracy to what she's saying? I'm sure she was detained for 20 something days. But she, again, is not explaining the full story of that, of her being detained under a section, I think it's a section 9, which is a mandatory mental health detention type of situation. I'm sure that happened. But when you look at her behavior, how many of y'all don't think that she obviously needs some kind of psychiatric assistance? Although I don't think they have a treatment or cure for narcissism. And, in a similar vein, we have another narcissist who loves the limelight, who loves to lie. And here he is. I mean, you would really think that this man who, was by some accounts on death's door would now be coming back with a renewed vision of what he needs to do with his life. And it's the same shenanigans all over again. People asking how bad was the lick? Well, it wasn't bad enough, evidently, because he's still going on with the same foolishness. Honestly. We had some renewed hope for him, like sometimes you get a little shot in life. You get a warning that, man, I better get my shit together because that fall could have killed me. You get on your knees and you're thankful, you're appreciative for having a second chance. Your children were at home. What if you had died and your children had to witness that and they had to see that? I mean, that would have been horrific. The kids are probably more traumatized than him, but now he's trying to get a little 15 minutes out of this. Oh, look, I'm not positive. And really? And I suppose you didn't leave the facility without the medical release and you didn't set off the alarm. Everybody else is lying on you because that's what people do. Everybody else wants to make you look bad. So once we posted and said, people have a little bit of common sense. We don't know who that lateral flow test is for, first and foremost. Secondly, we don't know when it was taken. Some of y'all be keeping lateral flow tests for months, like it's a pregnancy test and you want to review it later on. So there's no date on a lateral flow test to tell you this is this time, date, and stamp, and da-da-da. And I find that these are some of the weaknesses of the lateral flow situation that you have to be mindful of. It's not foolproof. It is based on people having a degree of honesty. And speaking of honesty, let me share something with you guys because someone saw that and they said, Sandy, let me show you how easy it is to fool a lateral flow test. Take a look at this. Did you guys see what I saw? Pay attention now, because the person made this demonstration video to just basically say that what Mario has shown y'all, if you want to sit back and believe that, you are, I was going to say I have some snake oil to sell you, but better than that, I have some tonic from Laval, some horse tonic that I can sell you. I can give it to you for free if you believe that. This video demonstrates, folks, how you can get a negative lateral flow result and not even touch the swab. Y'all see that? Keep watching. Pay attention. Look at this. Look. You see? Uh-huh. So, as with anything, folks, this is a trust system. They are saying that we want to trust you when we say do a lateral flow test before you come to work. But you see, these employers not fool you now. That's why when their employees say, oh yeah, I can lateral flow test, but I refuse to take a PCR test, you're not fooling them. I don't know who you think you're fooling, but you're not fooling them. That's why they're requiring a once a week PCR test. They want a professional to do it. Huh. That's why now if you get that positive PCR lateral flow, the public health is saying, take yourself and go get a positive PCR, or not positive, but go confirm the results with a PCR test. How easy is it for a dishonest person to fool the system? It happens all the time. No one should be surprised. Wow. Folks, make sure that you contact Miracle Brokers for any of your shipping, moving needs. They handle a number of different services. If you're moving locally or even halfway around the world, they can get you sorted out. So I'm told, just to confirm, that we have access to the DNA bank locally, but not the overseas one. So it looks like we might actually have something in place. Thank you, Sandra. Tracy, Gareth is watching. Thank you so much. So I need to address a few crazy people that like to get on the platform and make comments. I noticed one, a lot of times, listen, we're very, very busy here at CMR. We actually don't have time to micromanage you guys as much as you would, I guess, think that we do. So we ask you guys to behave. You comment, you try to be respectful to people as much as you can. Stick to your opinions, like focus on the issues. Don't focus on the individuals who are making the comments. And some of y'all just get all up in your feelings. So Marshall says, and he is dishonest, so anyone that believes him is just like him. Well, like I said, the track record speaks for itself. And I find that I don't know what it is about people who are dishonest, but it's not often that you find a dishonest person really turning a leaf. It's like there's something about dishonesty that goes to the core of who you are. You know, sometimes I guess we'll all get caught in situations like you're like, okay, I have to tell a little white lie or, you know, but dishonesty offenses, that's why I think they're considered so seriously, like for certain types of things, like, you know, running for public office and so on. It's because it is a core component of a person. You're either an honest person at your core or you're a dishonest person. And I find that when you're a dishonest person, sometimes it's almost like you can't help yourself but tell a lie. Like I have seen people lie. Y'all got to excuse the crazy hair today. I have seen people lie about situations. And I honestly looked at it and said, why? Why would you need to lie? There was not even a need to be dishonest. And yet they were doing so. So I've noticed a few people have been reporting individuals for their crazy and rude comments, you know, insulting people, name calling and that sort of thing. I'm not here to try to babysit adults on this platform. I hope you all know to behave yourselves. But if I see a repetition of a certain type of behavior where you only come on here with negativity or to attack people, you will be blocked from the platform. So I just want to make that very, very clear. And there's a particular individual that I had reported over the weekend, and I went and looked at their comments, and they weren't bringing anything meaningful to the platform. It was all, you're an idiot, you're this, you're that. And it was just about attacking people instead of attacking the points that they're making. Listen, you can address somebody's points. And when I use the term attack, I mean, you know, you can hopefully logically undermine what it is that they're saying. And you can say, yeah, this doesn't make any sense, and here's why. But I have a problem with you attacking the individual and not what they've said that you do not agree with. And so I know someone had reported some comments to Facebook. We get indication of when that's done because the comment is actually removed by Facebook until, you know, they then render a decision. So sometimes they'll hide the comment and then eventually they will give that person a strike or block them from Facebook. And we don't have any control over that. That's not something that we control. So I did see some of the comments being made by a particular person. And of course, you know, you would know who you are, I'm assuming. Someone said that, about Laval, that she made some strong points. Someone said, yeah, as strong as a toothpick holding a zinc roof. So there's a lot of people who want to give her points and kudos and sympathy. And again, that's entirely up to you if you wish to do that. I think that, you know, if you start from the premise that what she said is in fact correct, then you can't really be giving her any points, right? But again, I've noticed that on that particular comment, there were some people who were actually one individual who was actually getting really personal with posters. And I didn't think it was necessary and it was uncalled for. And I have noticed a pattern of behavior with this individual. And anytime they comment on CMR, that they go after individuals, they try to attack people. Consider it a warning not to do it. Because the next time, and I've written to this person on Facebook and they've received a warning, the next time I see such a post or a comment, there will be no warning. You will simply be blocked. You know, we really try to give people an opportunity, folks, to participate. I get it. You all see stuff on CMR, you have an opinion, you want to get into it. You have lots to say, blah, 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 that's all fine and dandy. But what I can't allow to happen is for one or two people, and it's always very, very few, because most people behave. The vast majority of people behave themselves. But I cannot have, of over 40,000 followers, a few people deciding that they're going to be the rudest and, they're going to just engage in ridiculous behavior. Listen, on our CMR platform from January the 3rd through January the 9th, our posts have reached 3.5 million people. Post engagement has been over 1 million. And that's a lot of people that are just viewing stuff. They're not necessarily commenting or anything else. And they just keep it moving. We gained a lot of followers, over 3,400, which I think is a little bit of spam. But that's okay. The spammers can follow us all they want. Just don't be messaging me and posting your crap about BitCurrency and cryptocurrency and all kind of foolishness, because that will get you blocked. So we gained an enormous amount of followers, which is a little bit strange, I must admit, now that I'm looking at the numbers. That's a 900% increase over the same period previously. So that seems a little bit odd, but okay. It's a public page, so you can't really prevent people from following you, right? Now, if they start commenting, carrying on ridiculously, then yeah, you block them. We still remain really, really significant compared to the other pages. But at the same time, I want to add that if you cannot behave yourself, even if you are here in the Cayman Islands, you will be blocked. It's as simple as that. I don't know how hard it is to just behave. How hard is it to say, I don't agree with you and here's why? You don't be attacking people and calling people names and talking about their sexual orientation or where they're from, or, oh, you're an idiot because you're a Caymanian or you're a Jamaican or you're this or you're that. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about it. If you get blocked, you know why. And believe me when I tell you that we give people a lot of chances and a lot of opportunities before we decide to block them. Okay. Fair warning. All right. Let me just see what else we wanted to chat about this morning. So big shout out to Misha. She's been doing a fantastic job with the evening news segment. It has really taken off. It's only been, well, I think tomorrow will be a week because last week was a short week, right? So it's only been a week and the feedback so far has really been phenomenal. You guys are really, really enjoying the news segments, and we're going to continue to do it. And as we continue, we're going to get better. A few mic issues early on have been sorted out. Working on graphics. It's looking pretty. I must say, went back and I looked at, I think it was Friday's news segment. We're still a little bit late with the time. So what we've done is we've moved the time down, because to get it done by 7:30, which I thought was kind of the ideal time, for news, is turning out to actually be challenging. And I think that the reason for that is that even sometimes as she's recording those very last few stories and we're trying to get it done, what we're finding is after 7 o'clock is when government is sending out the latest, what's it called? Coronavirus, the COVID-19 data and so on. And we want to try to include anything of significance in that and the news story. So to kind of work around it, we moved the time back to 9 p.m. And I think that should give us enough time to put it together. So, multiple things have to happen as a result of, let me show you guys this. Multiple things have to happen as a result of it trying to be as current as possible. There's no use in giving you stale old news, right? So let me show you something here, because I mean, this shows you that, if I can increase the size here, that so far we've had a couple videos and they're trending really, really well. So the very first one, 5 days ago, like I said, it hasn't even been a week yet, had 3.2 thousand views. No. Oh, that was, yeah, I think these two were duplicates for some odd reason. Yeah, we might have uploaded this one twice. But anyway, one got 3.2 thousand, the other one got 2.9. Then it went up to 4,000 for episode 2. Episode 3 has 5.5 thousand views. Episode 4 so far has 4.3 thousand views. And there'll be people who like go back and watch the news. So this one was from Friday. And, you know, trust me, we're still tightening up the introduction a bit. This logo I'm not really crazy about. So I've had another logo design. This was the one for the buzz. That one there. It's okay, but we're going to work on something slightly different for that. And then, you know, I think Misha's getting more comfortable in the presentation of it. And there's a lot behind the scenes that is required of her and that she has to, you know, get done. So, of course, on Friday, headline news was the arrest of Laval the day before. So, you know, we're getting there. And I, for one, unfortunately, the agriculture show cancellation. You know, so we give you the top stories for the day, the revocation of status grants, or not status grants, but permanent residency, and so on. So there, again, the COVID numbers. Congratulations, by the way, to the top brass over at the Cayman Islands Coast Guard. They received their official letters of, what are they called? There's a proper name for it. Anyway, they received their official letters, and this was a ceremony from that. So big shout out to them. Tomorrow, I'm going to spend some time going through with you guys what I did on Friday afternoon with the premiere, because I think you're going to be very, very interested to hear that story. So Sidney Poitier died at the age of 94. He lived a good life. Set a lot of records for a man of color. He's originally from the Bahamas. And one of the interesting things about his life is when he first moved to the US, he had to work very, very diligently at getting rid of his island accent and his Bahamian accent, which I thought was so interesting. But of course, in the world of acting, especially where your audience are Americans, they don't want to hear no Bahamian accent if you're not playing that character, right? Tracy asking about the abortion law. Let's see if we can discuss that tomorrow. There's some requests now to review legislation in the Cayman Islands in relation to that. And it looks like they're not only going to decriminalize it, but they might make some options available for a person to have a legal abortion. So let's talk about that. Delcy says she got her booster shot. She had some arm pain. It felt like it was going to fall off, but she's good now. Dawn says the lady said that the pastor kicked her. I didn't even hear that part. I don't even know what pastor she's talking about. What pastor? Again, if she's lying about other stuff, are we to believe a pastor kicked her? But you know what, Dawn, let me break it to you down this way. I don't really have time to listen to LaBelle. I'm going to be honest with you. That is 10 minutes of my life that I'll never get back. So I don't know in what context she said that, right? But here's my theory. And I'm just going to totally make this up because people lying left, right, and center, and they just make shit up and y'all want to believe it anyway. So let me just make this alternative theory up for you to consider. You know, she's always talking about being sanctified and this and that. I think she wants to be a pastor. Like she wants to have that power and someone believe her stories, and you know, she likes the attention, and pastors are in the limelight. They get a lot of attention. So maybe her and the pastor, I don't know, had some kind of conflict. But I mean, she looks to me like she's probably one of those people who goes to Pentecostal style church. And I'm not trying to make fun of the Pentecostal churches, but they do come with a certain flair that we know about. Me, I'm not really a Pentecostal person, child. I'm like a Quaker. Give me a quiet room and my Bible, a little prayer cloth, and I'm going to sit there with my eyes closed and meditate and think on it and pray on it. I don't need you jumping all over me and knocking me out doing a thing. But I bet you she probably enjoys that sort of thing, right? I don't know which pastor is that, what kind of church is that, but she probably enjoys a Pentecostal moment, given how she likes to carry on in the name of Jesus and all sanctified pom-poms all over the world. So maybe she started acting like that a little bit in church, and the good pastor was like, "Ooh, honey child, let's get into it." And he starts jumping up, whatever, and maybe it was an accidental kick. Maybe it was a kick to drive some pom-pom demons out, to re-sanctify it. I don't know. I don't know the context of it. I would need to speak to the pastor and the other people who were there and who witnessed it to really understand what went down and believe or not believe what Lavelle has had to say. This is where everything somebody say don't mean that it's true. So I'm just presenting an alternative. No, he was actually born in the Bahamas, moved to Miami. His parents sent him to Miami because he grew up very, very poor in the Bahamas. And they sent him to Miami at age 15 to live with his brother, who was already there. And he didn't actually like Miami. So he moved especially for acting, like what he wanted to do. He moved from Miami to New York. And then, then he said that there was an older man in the restaurant where he used to bus tables or whatever, who would come and work with him on reading, because he wasn't a very strong reader. And he would work with him on reading scripts, because obviously you got to be able to read to become an actress or actor, because you got to read scripts. And he was helping him to read and helping him with his accent and all kind of stuff. So that's pretty cool. Yeah, Dawn, I'm sure she called my name too and said that I doctored a photo. That don't mean nothing. That don't mean it's true. So Pastor McLaughlin from East End, it happened in front of the government building. Well, again, if it happened in front of the government building, not to say that I would necessarily blame him, because I tell y'all, I don't go there because I feel like something will pop off with this woman. And when my mind take me, Jesus, and I'm not about that. I'm not about that Fairbanks life. That's her. She can survive Fairbanks with her sanctified pom-pom. Me, no, that is sanctified, and I need my husband. Okay, up in Fairbanks, there's no conjugal visits, so that's not gonna work. So I don't know. I mean, we can ask Pastor Marcus, but who's really taking this woman seriously? I don't even know Pastor Marcus, but already I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He probably saw all that sanctified thing swinging all over the place and said, "This ain't sanctified. I'm going to give you a Holy Ghost kick." I don't know. But if it was anything serious, I'm sure she should have called the police, made a report of assault. The cameras are there recording it, and it would have been caught on camera if that's what she said went down. Gabby says, "Please stop. It's too early." Child, it's too early for a lot of things, but guess what? We are out of time. Marshall, have a beautiful day. Gabby, Emma, Aliana says, "Sandra and Easy, 2022 is rough, yo." I'm so excited. CMR, Cayman's already #1 talk show, is coming to a radio station near you. I think we're going to get some documents signed today, and then it's a done deal. So that's going to be fun. Now, if you listen to it on here, you don't have to jump over on the radio just because, but sometimes, you're on the road, you don't have data. It'll give you options. We're going to be reaching a whole new audience base. Child, them old people are going to now be listening to what the rest of us been doing. I guess we have to behave ourselves. Honey child. They might be ready for the cold hard truth, So they're going to get a dose of reality, right, Brother Tommy? Woo! We're going to have to do some sanctifying around the place. Yes, Lenny, we covered that earlier in the show. So hit that rewind button and you can always go back and listen to it. But yeah, my dear child. I'm excited. Already 2022 is off to a good start. A big bang, a big shebang. I'm excited. You know, I wasn't quite sold on the whole radio thing. I must admit, when someone said about a year ago, they're like, oh, you need to get back on radio. After they'd gotten rid of Woody, people like, girl, you need to get back on radio. Take that spot from Rooster. Well, we ended up taking it without even being on radio. But now, you know, as things progress, I'm like, okay, I'm going to give people an option. Radio and, you know, and the live stream at the same time. So, all right. Someone said it's Mr. McLaughlin from East End. I don't think his church is a jump up church. Okay. Like I said, I don't know who Pastor McLaughlin is, but you know them East Enders. Let me tell you something now about them. Okay? They're a little cracked, you know. You're not going to mess with them too easily. So what I believe that even though he's a pastor, that he might have kicked her, that's possible. Because he's from East End. And you don't joke with them. They'll bust you straight up, whether they're in church or not. So, like I said, I don't know the details of what went down. Maybe she was trying to push up that sanctified rear end on him, and he said, oh, no, you don't. And he just kicked her in the tush to push her out of the way and push her forward. To me, that's self-defense, child. Defending from the sanctified stinkness. So I would have to hear Pastor McLaughlin's take on this, because I'm not going to just take Lavelle's word for it. Some people believe she need a kick. Anyway. We shall see. La-di-da-di-da-di. Thank you, Tommy. I appreciate it. Final word. This Omicron situation has just gone from one name to the next. We now have, what is it being called? Deltacron or something. The craziness is real. I'm looking at it going, what? A Della who? Wow. Child. I don't know what to say. It's just weird. Am I the only one who's like weirded out by this? Right? Yeah. It's weird and it's bizarre, and you know, it's the world that we're living in, so I guess it is what it is. All right, good folks. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's program. It was Monday Rewind. Happy birthday to Renee. Gorgeous. Look at her. Isn't she beautiful? I think she's, oh God, what was the age that it just said? It came up on my timeline, so I feel like I should know this. Anyway, she's in her 30s. Celebrating a birthday. Where's my birthday greetings? Let me see. So happy birthday, Renee. We trust that you enjoy it to the fullest. I can't find my birthday greeting section on Facebook. Anyway. Sad news for those of you who might remember Bob. Oh gosh, what's his last name again? He has passed away, unfortunately, quite unexpectedly last night. Bob Saget, he was found, Robert, aka Bob, comedian, actor. He was actually on tour performing in Orlando, and he was staying at the Ritz-Carlton Orlando, Grand Lakes. And hotel staff found him and called the police, non-responsive. No signs of foul play or drug use. It sounds like he probably just had a heart attack. 65 years old. Now, in this day and age, we still think 65 is relatively young. We're all like, oh, I'm going to live to be 95 and 100. Well, given the lifestyle that some of us are living, probably not. We're probably lucky if we reach 65. But anyway, that's a whole other topic of discussion. Sarah says, has Deltacron been detected in Cayman? No indications of that as yet. We only know about this cluster of 25 cases in Cyprus, which what do you call people from Cyprus? Cyprians? Cyprian? What would they be called? The scientists there have discovered this, and so we'll keep an eye on the situation. They don't think it's going to be a major deal because they're like, oh, Omicron is definitely going to take over from Delta and this new Deltacron. So, but they're still watching it nonetheless. Thank you, Tracy. Thank you, Tommy. Can you post the website when you go live on radio, please? So don't worry, we're going to have it all over the place. We'll put up the story on it. We will put it on social media. Everybody will know where to find us. I don't even want to tell you guys the frequency yet, but hopefully another week or two, I'll be able to share those details. I'm totally psyched and excited. But yes, you'll know where we are. But Tommy, if you're in the Bahamas, it might actually be easier for you to listen to the stream as opposed to trying to find it on a dial. I think that the radio is more for like, if you're sitting in your car and you're driving to work, you're an older person that still has a physical radio. I don't even have a physical radio. Y'all have a physical radio? I don't have one. And that sort of thing. And I don't know if the website is going to have online streaming yet. Like, I don't know those details. So they may have like a streaming app where people can then access it that way. But I'm excited. It's going to be the same show. Radio is a little bit tighter. So it's from 7:30 to 9:30. If we go into overtime, then the overtime bits, like how we're into overtime right now, will just be here. So if you want streaming, the best way is still Facebook and YouTube. I don't know if the station itself will offer any streaming options for the frequency, but it's going to be the same show. So what you're catching here is what you'll be catching on the radio frequency. Beautiful people, that's what I got for you today. Happy Monday. Go to work, do something productive with your life. Don't harm other people. Don't lie. Honesty. Aunt Lottie's pearls of wisdoms. Honesty is always the best policy. And I believe that, and I hope you do too. Have a good one.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.